You stopped swiping the card, you made a payment. You check the balance a few days later, and somehow it went up. That feels impossible. Now, your payment should have pulled the number down. But here's the trick. Your payment is visible. The interest is invisible. Your payment hits once. Interest keeps adding new charges in the background, and those charges can post after your payment, making it look like the balance climbed overnight. The system isn't broken, it's just mechanics you were never shown. This comes down to three things: daily interest running in the background, the grace period you lost without realizing it, and two dates most people confuse. By the end of this, you'll see exactly what's happening to your balance and how to stop the damage. Once you carry a balance into the next cycle, interest runs every single day, not once a month, every day. The formula is a simple machine, a PR to daily rate to daily interest. Daily rate equals your APR divided by 365. Daily interest equals your balance multiplied by that daily rate. Let's use real numbers. Say you have a $1,200 balance and your APR is 25%. Daily rate equals 0.25 divided by 365. That's about 0.068% per day. Daily interest equals $1,200 times 0.25 divided by 365. That comes out to about 82 cents per day. Over 30 days, that's about $24.66, added to your balance even if you don't spend a single cent. That's the myth. People think APR gets charged once a month. It doesn't. A PR is priced annually, but charged daily. That's the whole trick. So picture a bucket. You're bailing it out with payments, but there's a slow drip you can't see. Now here's your control lever: timing. If you pay $300 on day one, your balance drops to $900, and your daily interest drops immediately. $900 times 0.25 divided by 365 equals about 62 cents per day. That one earlier payment just saved you about 20 cents per day, and daily savings compounds into real money fast. One more key detail: most cards don't calculate interest based on today's balance only. Many use average daily balance, which is exactly what it sounds like. Picture 30 little boxes, one for each day in the cycle. If your balance is high for most of those boxes, your average stays high even if you make a big payment late. Pay earlier, and you shrink more boxes. Your average drops. Your interest drops. Most people think paying by the due date stops all interest. It doesn't, because they're focusing on the wrong date. Think of it as snapshot day versus deadline day. The statement closing date is snapshot day. That's when your balance gets photographed for the statement. The due date is deadline day. Pay by this date to avoid a late fee. But if you're carrying a balance, interest doesn't wait for the due date. Interest is running all the days in between. Here's the binary switch most people miss. If you paid your full statement balance last month, your grace period is on. Grace period simply means new purchases don't get interest if you pay the statement balance in full by the due date. But if you carried any balance forward, your grace period is off. That means interest starts running immediately, day after day, until you get back to zero. So if you carried a balance from last month, interest was already piling up from the day after your closing date, not from the due date. And even if you pay the full statement balance by the due date this month, you can still get hit with interest from the days between the closing date and when your payment actually posted. Picture the timeline. Closing date, snapshot. Interest runs daily, due date, deadline, payment posts. If you wait until the due date to pay, you've already collected weeks of daily interest charges in the background. That's why the balance can grow even when you're making payments on time. Sometimes it's not just interest. Late fees, annual fees, or foreign transaction fees can post after you stopped spending. Those fees add to your balance and start accruing interest immediately. So always check your statement for any fees that posted between your last payment and today. And here's the one that feels like a glitch: trailing interest, also called residual interest. Even if you pay the full balance today, you may still see a small interest charge on the next statement. Why? Because interest accrued between the last closing date and the day your payment posted. It's leftover math. Not a mistake. The good news, it's usually small, and it stops once your balance has been at zero through a full cycle. So if your balance is rising, it's usually not spending. It's daily interest plus timing, plus sometimes trailing interest or fees. Here's how you take control. To avoid interest when you're not carrying a balance, pay the statement balance by the due date and don't carry anything forward. If you're currently carrying a balance, you're in payoff mode. You won't fully avoid interest this month. The goal is to get to zero so the grace period can come back. To reduce interest while you're carrying, pay as early as possible, even before the due date, because interest is calculated daily and your timing changes the average daily balance. Check your statement for the exact closing date. It's usually about 21 to 25 days before the due date. To restore the grace period, you typically need to pay the balance to $0 and keep it there through a full billing cycle. Your homework, 30 seconds for total clarity. Open your statement, find your APR, your closing date, and your due date. Compute. Daily interest equals balance times APR divided by 365. Then multiply that by the number of days between your closing date and when your payment posted. That's the invisible cost made visible. If you found this useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more simple explanations.